Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're returning. Today I have on these Zule Extreme Stilettos. They're 4 or 5XL stiletto that I cut into a coffin. And I'm going to be using these solo gels. Size matters. Deep Pine, Quad Shot, and Glamberry. And I don't know. I just had to use these colors together. I was thinking, like, what do I do with these? I made this set a little while ago, but this is the video. And I think I ended up calling them camo nails, even though that wasn't the shape or look I was going for. The look I was going for was kind of what I have on those swatch sticks there in the back. I'm going to use I'm a Mess. This is a glow acrylic. Also, one thing about this acrylic is this is the remainder I have in a jar there. And right now I have this sped up, but on the middle finger and the pinky, I'm going to have it slowed down, and I'll talk to you about that when we get there. But this acrylic, you see how it's this really pretty pink, baby pink color. And I saw that I was super low on this jar. I think a friend gave me this, actually, and that it made me buy another jar so that, you know, I would have enough to do more than a set. And, you know, I didn't want to, I loved it. As soon as I swatched, I'm like, oh, I have to have more of this. So I bought myself another jar. So I have 2 jars. This one that my friend gave me, and the one this one here, she had it for a while. It's an OG color. So a lot of times, I don't know if you guys have noticed or if you're not polished babes or not, but they change their colors sometimes. Like Nude Panther used to have a lot more pink in it than it does now, etc. But if you've been using their stuff for 4 or 5 years, you know some of their colors have changed. So anyway, when I was finished with this set, I got my new jar of I'm a Mess out to put this acrylic in it, just to condense it down to one jar. And when I opened the new one, it was so pale, it was almost white, like as white as gem or pink nude, if you guys know which color that is, but still glow. So this is all I have left of the I'm a Mess that used to look like this. But just so you know, if you buy this today, it will not be this pink. It is much more of a white pink. If you're familiar with their colors, it is closest to the pink nude that I used just recently in a set. Or gem. It's not even as dark as Blossomilities. But yeah, anyway. So we have the application here, and what I did on the middle finger. So I was watching a content creator, and I can't for the life of me think of the name of who it was right now, but I remember thinking, this is brilliant, and I've wanted to do this before, but I didn't want to bore anybody, so if this is boring, please just fast forward through it. But on the middle finger and the pinky, I have it slowed down. Instead of sped up or at normal time, I have my application slowed down. And we'll talk through it as we go. But for me, I just thought, why doesn't everyone, especially if they're doing like a liquid to powder ratio video or an acrylic application video, why haven't we been slowing them down? Because it gives you time to explain what you're doing, and you can so much more clearly see. Like, we say things all the time: move your acrylic off the sides, bring it to the top, blend the bead down, pat the sides. Like, we use all of these terms, but it goes by so fast, even if it's in normal speed, because we all have our muscle memory, and we can't even explain like what our brush is doing when it's hitting the towel, when it's hitting the dish, or why we're doing that, because the video is going by at just regular time, not even sped up. So when I slow it down, I will talk through that first one. I have mentioned before that something happened in my family, you guys. I'm struggling really, really hard with it, so please forgive me, but I'm having a hard time doing voiceovers and just like even like talking and getting through things. So I'm having one of those days, one of those moments. I've been putting this off. It's Wednesday night. I owe you this video tomorrow, so I don't know how much talking I'm going to do through this, but I'm going to talk through the essential parts. But please just bear with me. You guys are always so loyal and kind, and bear with me. Regardless what I'm going through, you guys are amazing, so I know you'll understand. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, just doing this. How is everybody? I hope you guys are well. I hope life is treating you well. I hope everyone's getting ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Mystery boxes, holidays, Black Fridays. What are you guys doing? Let me know. All right, we're coming into the slow motion here. So the first thing I do is show you how wet my brush is, how I barely tap it. So my brush is really full, okay, for the first large bead that I'm going to pick up. I drag it through the acrylic and I press and hold it there. I pick it up when it's still dry around the edges, and I tap it until it saturates the bead, till the monomer saturates the bead, and you can tell that because it starts getting shiny. And when I put it on the nail, I'm going to press or shake it or wiggle it just a little to make sure it's adhering to where I have pressed it. And then I'm going to use the tip of my brush to stretch the bead out. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off, get it damp, and take the excess monomer off of my brush by just tapping my towel. And then I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to flush the top of my bead, and then I'm going to start patting and molding the acrylic with the firmer part of my brush closest to my ferrule. When my brush gets dry, I'm going to wipe it off first, then put it in the dish, get it wet, take the excess off with my towel, and come back and continue. And what I'm doing is making sure that the acrylic is on the sides and that I don't have some lobbed over in a crazy way. And I'm just going to keep redampening my brush as needed. And after I have the top of the bead blended out and the acrylic brought to the top and away from the sides, but touching the sides, now I'm going to start to use pressure. When I am smoothing out the bead, I'm also going to drag it down. So very lightly, you can see. And my brush is pretty damp. It's not wet to where it's dripping, but it's damp enough to smooth out the bead and to start adding a little monomer to the parts of the bead that may be polymerizing or drying out. And I'm just going to keep doing that until until the acrylic doesn't let me work with it anymore, or until I'm done. And right here when I'm done, I'm going to cut it off by doing this. Your bead isn't going to cut off in a neat little lump like that, or like this, whether it's just a tiny bit or a chunk. Once you start learning where to place a bead and what size, that's just going to come with muscle memory. But same thing, I'm going to do the same dampness with my brush, the same bead, except this bead, what I'm going to do different with it is I'm not going to blend out the top, because this is going to make my apex. So instead of blending the top, after I get it to stick and after I bring it to where it's also going to be my cuticle beads, sometimes I do this. So instead of blending it down, I'm leaving it there, and I'm going to push it up right here because it's starting to go down, and I need the meat of this bead to be up there, because I'm going to kind of ombre the rest of it down to make a blend. But I'm still doing the same things as far as using a damp brush to tap the acrylic where I want it to be. So that's why when they say pat your bead, you can clearly see here what patting is doing. Patting and blending are different. Patting is bringing the acrylic to where you want it to be, and blending is blending it down. When I placed it close to the cuticle, I'm going to do another cuticle bead, so I'll talk about that when I get there. But you can also see by my table towel, there's hardly any acrylic on my table towel, because once you get to understand and learn what acrylic you're working with, what monomer you're working with, the size of your beads, and how far you can take them. So I knew from the size of that bead where I could take it, how long it was going to last. So I didn't end up with a bunch of my towel because it was too runny, or too much on my towel that I had to take it off because I used too much that the nail couldn't hold, if that makes sense. This is going to be another cuticle bead just to hype that little area up. So I'm going to place it just below my cuticle, because as soon as it starts polymerizing, you'll see right here, I'm going to wait just a second. You see how it melts there? If I'm not holding my finger in a downward motion like this, it's going to melt right into my skin, which sometimes I let it do that because it's kind of the only way to get it in there. But my brush is pretty damp, and so what I'm doing is just, as you can see, as soon as I start tapping it with my damp brush, it melts it there. And that's how I have got my bead up into my cuticle and sealed. The rest of the bead that I'm going to bring down, instead of pressing firmly, I'm going to leave most of it there and only blend down the bottom half of it like I would an ombre, so that most of my bead stays there. When I come, after I've moved it to where I want it to be so it doesn't dry there in a big hump, I come back in with a damp brush and further melt down my cuticle area. If you saw me doing that, I'm going to do it again here. And just make sure there's none on my skin or not sealed on the sides. Sometimes I'll even come on, like this looks like, I can't remember, but this looks like I should probably come in with another one. That's just what I would normally do. But you can see there I was really tucking my wet brush in there. And yes, I am coming in with a little more. This is the point that once I have the whole nail covered, that I will look at the structure of my nail and see where I need more acrylic, if I do. And from watching this application, I could tell that I probably was going to want a little more in the cuticle area. That's how I like my nail shape to be. And you can see I kind of melted more into the cuticle area. This I'm going to place here because I want a little more of an apex. Since I'm placing this bead on top of acrylic that's almost dry, I'm going to really use a wet brush right here to blend that. You can even see it kind of splashing off of the nail, because if you don't do that, you're going to end up almost with two different colored acrylics if you don't blend this really well. But this nail was not the thickness I wanted, and nor was the apex, so I just added a little bit more, and I'm purposefully using wet acrylic and a wet brush to just coat the whole nail with like one final bead here. But you can still see that I didn't drag a bunch off of my nail. So that's, again, something that you'll learn over time, how much acrylic goes how far and how much to pick up and that kind of thing. Starting a new nail, so I'm grabbing a great big fat bead. This is in double time, and I'll let you guys watch. Okay, I'm going to be walking you through the slow-mo pinky application. So again, really wet brush, really large bead. So I just wanted to show you the size of it, and that sometimes little bits of powder come off of it, even for the pinky, because I can do almost the whole nail with this. So I'm going to place it where I know I can bring it to the bottom. Same thing, making sure it sticks and using my brush to lift and press and drag it down. Drying it off, getting it damp, patting it on the towel, bringing it off the sides. The reason I did not go up and blend the top of that bead is because that is going to make my apex because of where I placed it. So that, like I showed you on the index finger, I blended my first bead because I planned on doing 2 or 3 beads near the cuticle area. Since I could get almost my whole nail built on a more narrow tip here, which is my pinky, I did not flatten the top of that because I want it to stay in a little hump there, so the next bead I put over it will naturally make an apex. But I'm still doing the same thing, which is taking my damp brush and patting the acrylic where I want it. You can see how it's lobbed over here to the right, so I'm going to tuck it up, bring it down from the sides and tuck it up to the top, and then now that I feel that it's starting to get firmer, I'm going to all in one motion tuck it up and drag it down, which is what I'm doing here with my brush. And I'm using the base of my brush closer to the ferrule to use any pressure, and I'm using the tip of my bristles to do the smoothing. And you can see that more the way the brush kind of hugs the whole nail. That really helps if you place your brush in that position. And I'm patting here because I could see it's a little too wide right there, and I needed to use a little more pressure because this is firming up. And I'm going to use pressure right here to pull that last bit before it dries all the way to my tip. That way I don't end up pulling a whole bunch off the edge and wasting a bunch, and I don't end up with it short and not all the way to the tip. I want you guys to let me know, any of you who are trying to learn application, if this helps, because even though I'm pretty confident in my application, I can always learn, and I can't remember who I saw doing this in slow motion, but I thought, oh my gosh, look how good you can see exactly what she's actually doing. And yeah, so let me know if this was helpful at all, because I do application in all my videos, so the ones that I still have coming for you guys that I still need to edit, I can always slow it down for you. I made myself a note here that says brush wipe coming up, and I don't know what that means. Let me see what that means here. I don't know what I meant by that. I leave myself notes in my videos to remember what to tell you guys. It might be the next thing that's coming up. I don't know. This is going to be my cuticle bead. So sometimes I do this. I'll get a big one like that and place it right below the cuticle and kind of mash it there and wait for it to polymerize and melt. And then bring down the bottom half, pat it on that to make sure it's connected to the sides, to make sure it's meeting the sides. And like right there where it's kind of touching my skin, you can, when your bead is that consistency, you can just tuck it up and it will move up onto the nail. I don't know what I meant by brush wipe. Sorry for mentioning that. I don't even know what that meant. I'm using my smaller brush here because I know I have a smaller cuticle area, and I just want, you know, I can still use my other brush, but sometimes I just like to use this one just if I want to really be able to, it's not even the size of the bead, it's getting into a tight space that I like to use this brush for. Now, if I leave this bead like this, let's just say I pull it down and I don't do anything to the top, it's going to have a big hump there. So that's why I'm going to go in with a wet brush here and just tap it, which taps monomer into the bead, which melts it right there. And then I don't have to do anything to my cuticle, except perhaps just go in and clean it up. But you see how that melted the bead into it? And right here, I'm just further kind of making sure there's a nice shape in that area, and I don't have any lumps that are going to dry. And I'm going to start using pressure and firmly pulling the rest of the bead down. So yeah, I thought this was so helpful just to actually see what someone's brush is doing, and when you're putting it in the monomer, and when, you know, etc. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If you like it, I can do it with more. And again, this was I'm a Mess, the OG version. It's much lighter, paler now. Look at the glow though. Light up a room and use these suckers for a flashlight, I'm telling you. I'm sure you guys know Notpolish's acrylics glow like this. All of them just crazy. Well, some of the more pigmented ones don't glow this bright. Usually they're lighter colors glow this bright, but they all glow nice. So let's tell you what happened here. I decided to use Pixie Crystal. So I had these two colors I'm showing you, the deep pine and the, I don't remember what the name of the other one's called, magenta or something. I'll show you again later. And pixie them, and they were beautiful, but they did not match at all the design I was going for. So I do end up taking that off, but I may use that color combo again for Christmas because that was gorgeous. Very beautiful the way the crystals made the acrylic, I'm sorry, gel polishes look underneath there. Also, this was just supposed to be a French outline, so you'll see me removing the bottom half of this because I only needed the outline, but I forgot that when I was building it. So I'm going to draw a couple French and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to do a blooming gel or blossom gel design underneath the French, so only the inside of my French line had to be neat. That's why where I did a removal, it doesn't look like I left some smears there and I left it, not so straight, because it was only the inside line where I'm cleaning up right now that needed to be nice. The French is cured, and what I'm doing right now is wiping off any blossom gel that I got on top of the French line, and I'm going to take a dotting tool and just go in and make a blooming design with this gel. And my idea was to bring the green from one side and the brown from the other and meet in the middle, blurred out with a little bit of the nude color. And it looked good on my swatch stick, but for whatever reason, as usual, I could not recreate it on the nail. So what I ended up doing didn't look like my swatch sticks and didn't look like what I wanted. So I ended up kind of just going for a camo look, which this is not how you draw camo. Well, I guess you can draw it any old way, but that's not what I was going for. It ended up looking that way, which of course definitely was not matching the pixie, which you can tell from the thumbnail. I removed those. I don't show the removal, but I do show you what I ended up doing on those nails when I come back after it's removed and reshaped. And I can't remember if it's this one I take off. Yeah, I don't know. But I do make, as usual, leave my creative process, if you want to call it that, and my mistakes in the video. Okay, so what's funny is this one started working like I did my swatch stick, and then that's when it started looking more like camo. And I don't know if you guys know this, but or have noticed before, or if you've done designs like this, but once you put matte top coat on, it really crisps up everything and brings it all together. So I knew that it would have a different look even than that when I was done. And then I decided to just be easy on myself with the pinky and middle finger. So I'm just doing like, I don't know if you call this a crock or a blooming gel. I don't know what the name of this design is. I think just crock, even though it's not crock. I don't know. Just a blooming pattern. I'm going to cure that. And this is here where I'm deciding, like, what do I do? At this point, I realize that I do not like the brown on the index. It's not matching, so I move away the pixie because I already know I'm getting rid of that. So I'm like, okay, does the brown even look good? And I'm like, forget it. All right. So I can't remember where I'm at in this phase. Okay, I had removed, I need to do the middle and the thumb. And I thought about this one more. The more I thought about it, the more I thought I need to start over with it. I don't want it. But I did have an idea of how I wanted to do the thumb. I wanted to do a half French with a cuticle cuff. And I wanted to outline it in disco liner, but only one nail. I didn't want the whole set, because the rest of the set I wanted to look the way the ring finger did, just really matte and like crisp. So you'll see what I did on the thumb. I'm sure you didn't see it on I don't think it's on the thumbnail picture. But that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just going through my gels to see which looks good. And at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, what's the difference between the green in my neon disco liner and the green in my disco liner? Because I got that new kit. And there is a difference. I decided to go with Beauty Soul, which is number 8 from the original disco liner. I thought it looked the best. And I'm just going to super fast speed show you removal of this design. And I did have to reshape with the file just a little bit after this, because I had blooming gel and matte gel and the Frenchie and the other gels. So it was a lot to remove, and I didn't want to compromise my acrylic shape. So anytime you have to remove a gel design, there's usually, you know, a design under it. This one started popping off. So this set was just going all kinds of sideways. So I was glad that it finally came out good. And I put a blooming gel on here, decided to go easy on myself. Was it this one? Oh no, I do another French here. Right. And then I went easy on myself on the middle one, and then you'll see what I do on the thumb. Okay, I want to know if you guys experience this. And at first I just think, oh, maybe it's my skin or it's my cuticles. Whenever I do a gel design close to my skin on the free edge or in my cuticle area, I can't keep the gel off my skin. I'll take it off with, you know, remover like I'm doing here, or go in and apply it super thin with a thin gel liner instead of the brush, you know, the brush that comes in the bottle. Like, let's just say somebody comes in and wants their nails painted black or painted red, something, you know, I always get it on the skin. I don't care what I do. You guys encounter that? Because I see other nail techs not encountering that, and I'm like, what? Come on now. Anyway, I figured it out. So I'm going to do a half French here, and then that cuff that you see up at the top, it's going to look much, much better after I get a matte top coat on it. But I don't know why I came up with this design or where, but at last minute I'm like, well, what am I going to do on the thumb? What am I going to do on the thumb? Well, I would love a cuff on the top, and let me just do a half a French. I haven't done one of those in a long time, if ever. So for whatever reason, this popped into my head, and I kind of wish I would have done like the ring finger or another one of the other nails in the set like this, because I ended up loving this nail the most. I also really liked the pinky and middle finger. I liked them all. It ended up coming out to be a pretty good set, but yeah, I really liked this design. So what I'm doing, as you can see, is just doing what I would do for a French, but on half of the nail, and then putting the blooming gel only where I would be filling it in with my French color, and doing the same type of design as I did over there, except this time I'm purposely making like camo shapes, because I had decided by this time that they look more like camo nails than whatever other thing I was going for. So I'm specifically more going toward a camo look. Also, though, when you do camo, you do or should go in and kind of outline like you do a cheetah print your little sections with a darker, like a really dark brown or a black. You don't have to, you can do whatever, but that's typically more what I've seen done. So after this, I'm going to cure it, of course, and I'm going to go in with matte top coat on everything. Oh, I meant to take out this, I didn't use this liner, and I meant to edit that out. Sorry, you guys. I'm going to go in with this disco liner and outline this Frenchie. And this is the only nail I did this to. Then I'm going to go in with charms and bling, and we are done. So I'm going to be letting you guys go here in a second. But I would love if you guys would leave me comments. How many beginners do I have here? Okay, because the reason I'm asking is I'm going to be, like I mentioned to you guys, purchasing mystery boxes and other things. Plus I have extra supplies that I have around here. But the Black Friday sales and mystery boxes and things I'm going to be getting, I'm specifically getting to do a Christmas giveaway. I've decided I'm probably going to do 2, definitely doing 1, possibly 2, so that there can be more than one winner. It's Christmas. Instead of just doing 1 huge one, I may do 2 smaller ones, but still really good. My question to you is, how many beginners do I have? Because should I be gearing more toward beginner items like Kolinsky brush, monomer, dap and dish, supplies that you need to get started, table towels, you know, things that add up, cuticle pushers, nippers, things like that? Or should I be doing geared more toward more established people and, you know, some bright colors? I mean, there'll be a nice mix. I usually do a nice mix anyway, but I don't know. Who do I have more of? You guys tell me in the comments. Talk to me. Whoever is here and thinks you might enter a giveaway. Again, I'm going to be doing the giveaway even though it's Christmas the same way I always do, which is mentioning it somewhere in my video. So if you're watching, you're in the know. If you're not watching, you're just gonna miss out, I guess. Whenever I have a matte top coat, I hate seeing the little glue smears. So this is what I'm doing here, is going in with alcohol or acetone. Can't remember what's in that dish. I think alcohol, and cleaning off the nail. I do notice again later that there is still some. For every set I do, every set. I get out all my boxes of bling and all my boxes of charms, because usually I've only picked a theme or a color or both, and I have no idea what I'm going to do next. So my charms, my stickers and things, and my gems usually end up helping me figure out what design I'm going to do. Like, I'll open up this box and see the dark blue crystals and be like, oh, I have the blue blankety blank over there, and that's what makes me go for a blue set or whatever. So I had already gone through all my charms and figured out that I was going to go with teddy bears, and so that's why you see this. I loved the thumbnail. I just thought the thumbnail was so cute. Don't sleep on your thumbs, you guys, when you're doing a set on yourself or your clients. I think a lot of times we don't go as far in the design as we do on our other nails, on our thumb as we do on our other nails. Thumb is a very worthy nail, you guys. I'm just going in with some AB crystals. These are Serenity crystals from Bluestreak Crystals. If you want to pick yourself up some crystals and you don't know, our friend Sarah has a code. It is The Nail Lounge, which will be right here on the screen for you guys. Go over there, pick yourself up some crystals. Use her code. If you don't have any Notpolish products, go grab yourself a mystery box. It's a great time to get stocked up on beginner stuff. Great way to do it. If not, you can use my code Jen. Like, if you buy yourself a mystery box, but you want to pick up some, you know, a lamp at the same time because it's Christmas and it's time to buy your electronics and you've been saving, or you need some new acrylics or gem gel or whatever, my code will still work on the same purchase. In other words, sometimes you go to people's website and you buy, they have a 20% off sale on all of their crystals or charms. And so you add all the charms that you want to your basket, and you're going to buy 12 acrylics. And you add all of those to your cart, and you get to checkout, and you put in your friend's code, and it says you can't use the code because you already have a discount. Yeah, you have a discount on, you know, the already existing don't need to enter a code discount on the charms. But the acrylics that you're buying, you want to use your friend's discount. You don't want to place two separate orders and you don't want to pay two separate shipping, and you've been waiting for a sale to do a large order and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about. Like, that happens on most websites. Notpolish is not that way. You can add a mystery box to your order. That's why I did that post on Instagram in case you guys didn't see it. And then add other items that aren't a part of the mystery box or aren't a part of a sale and enter your code, or my code, which is Jen. I'll put it right here on the screen as well. And still get your discount on the rest of your items. Not the mystery box, but other stuff you add to your cart. You guys, happy Thursday. I will see you guys Sunday. Here's the set. I'll get you some final pictures and I think some glow again. I'm not sure. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.